The journey of debt freedom, the ability to not have to worry about paying a dime to anybody for anything. Today's video is all about 3 huge mistakes that I made getting out of debt. And if I can inspire just one person with this video, I feel like I've done my job because, the journey of getting out of debt was a little bit of a longer road for us. But I'll tell you, the feeling afterwards, so freaking awesome. I am the most fired up and the most disappointed with mistake number 3. And of course, I'm going to put mistake number 3 at the end of the video. But regardless of all that, let's get right to it. Mistake number 1 in our debt payoff journey was simply just not being focused. And I know that sounds kind of basic, but it's just so many people underestimate the power of focus when it comes to getting out of debt and starting your wealth building journey. When we were going through this, I started with saying, okay, well, we have a lot of credit cards, we have our student loans, and we have car loans. And it looks to me like our credit cards are a pain in the butt because every month it seems like there's a ton of interest being charged and they're at the highest interest rate of like 18%. So I'm gonna take all my money, I'm gonna try to pay those off first. And yeah, that's called the debt avalanche program. And this is before we discovered Dave Ramsey and everything like that. The problem with that is it just doesn't give you that gratifying feeling, that gratifying success of listing out your debts smallest to largest and paying off the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate. And I felt that. Going through that, I became quickly demotivated because every day and every month we would get income. I say, okay, time to pay the credit cards, but it feels like these are never going to go away. And oh, by the way, the student loan, I guess I'll pay the minimum payment on that. And I've got the auto loan too. And I guess in like 10 years, we'll be finally out of debt. God, that's just an awful feeling. And that was the huge mistake we made. Flash forward to the year 2013. That was the first year that I discovered Dave Ramsey and the debt snowball method. And this is where, like I said, you lay out your debt smallest to largest. And when I started doing that, the very first loan we actually ended up paying off was such an amazing feeling. And I'm like, that's why this makes sense, because it's like that sense of accomplishment that you get. You're like, hey, I can do this. This actually works. I got rid of a debt. I no longer owe those people any money. And when you get that sense of feeling, that's amazing. So don't make the huge mistake of being unfocused and just throwing money haphazardly. Get serious about your debt payoff plan. Get that smallest loan. Find money wherever you can, in the couches, underneath the carpet, wherever you can find money, sell things on eBay, and throw that money toward the debt. Let's go on to mistake number 2 that we made. And huge mistake number 2 is not using our savings to pay down debt. So stick with me here. So we had about $2,500 or $3,000 in a savings account because I'm like, oh, well, I'm young and dumb. I need to save money, right? So we were just stashing away in this very basic personal savings account that paid a sad 0.06% annual interest rate. That is next to nothing. So I was enjoying our like 1 or 2 pennies we'd get every month in interest. Dave Ramsey, what he teaches you is to only have $1,000 in an emergency fund. I know there's a lot of debate about that because they're like, well, emergencies can be more than 1,000. Well, an asteroid could hit the earth tomorrow. You can't plan for everything. But the point is, start with the most important thing, which is paying off your debt. And that goes back, of course, to my huge mistake 1, which is staying focused. So because I screwed around so long with just keeping that savings account, I realized something really dumb that I was doing. Even on our student loan, even on our car loan, whether that's 1%, 5%, whatever the interest rate is, because I'm just holding back money and not dropping down to the $1,000 emergency fund, that was another $1,500 or $2,000 that I could have put toward one of those loans. But instead, I was holding that money at 0.06% interest when I could have been attacking a debt that I was paying an extra 1% or more to a company in interest. That's a huge mistake because you feel good because you have money in the bank, but you really don't because all that extra money is going toward interest because you're still in debt. So that was really like an eye-opener for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what, screw it, I'm going all in. And I remember that day, I think it was like late 2013. This is when I was still digesting Dave Ramsey program and trying to understand it. And I said, what are we doing? I'm gonna be able to slam one of the loans down and get a little bit closer to debt freedom on that particular loan. So like that next day, I literally went to my personal savings account, drained it down to $1,000, and that was a good payment to pay toward that debt. And of course, let's go on to my biggest mistake. Mistake number 3, and guys, I gotta tell you something. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. You deserve to check out my biggest, most regrettable mistake I made in the debt freedom journey. And that was becoming debt-free and going back into debt. Oh yes, I did not share this up until today's video, but I was one of the dumb fools that went back into debt after becoming debt-free. And I know Dave Ramsey is probably like screaming right now if he hears this video.
Oh jeez, I'm gonna kill you, seriously.
The most important thing I learned was how foolish we can be sometimes when we get out of debt, because what you notice is when you're out of debt, you feel much more powerful. You feel like, wow, I have a lot more money coming in that I don't have to send off to this person and that person and that person. I actually have extra money. And then all of a sudden you feel like, you know what? That car is getting kind of old. And in this period of time, we're getting ready to sell one of our rental properties. And obviously when you sell the house, you get money as long as you're not underwater on the mortgage. And we weren't. So I knew I was gonna make a lot of money after we sold our house. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's go out and get new cars. So we both got a new car. My wife got a Honda Pilot. I got an Audi A6, both with payments. I went back into debt. Auto loan debt. How stupid was I? But it was because I had this mindset of, well, I'm gonna get all this money from the house. And oh, by the way, I feel like I have all this extra money because we no longer are in debt. And here like we were in baby step number 4 of the Dave Ramsey program, and we just quickly found ourselves going back to baby step 2, which is the debt payoff program. And I probably about a month into it, I regretted it completely, because another thing that I didn't weigh was risk. And the risk of, what if the house doesn't sell? What if the house sells, but it's not as much money as we thought we were going to get? What if somebody lowballs our offer and we have nowhere else to turn? We just went through one heck of a ride here this year in 2020. What if that would have happened and we would have been stuck with the house? Well, now we have this rental property that's still in our hands that we can't sell, and we have all this auto loan debt. That was a dumb mistake. One thing I want to warn you about is once you get yourself out of debt, don't feel so empowered to go back into debt. Take all that extra money, if you do find yourself with some extra money left at the end of the month, and invest it. I, in fact, just did a video on the Robinhood app, and Robinhood's a way that you can invest. I'm now at that point in my life, so to speak, now that we've gotten out of debt again, to be able to do these things. So instead of being stupid a second time through, I'm going to learn from huge mistake number 3 and start investing money and doing things like that to build your wealth and build your financial future. That is what's so important when it comes down to the debt freedom journey. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found value in it. Most importantly, I hope it helps you ensure that you do not make the same mistakes that I did with these 3 huge mistakes along my debt-free journey. Because honestly, at this point in the game, I would have been so much further ahead, especially in my wealth building journey, if I would have just stayed out of debt from the first time around. But I had to learn a hard lesson, and that's why I want to share it with you today. So that's it, guys. Comment below if you have any questions and let me know how your debt freedom journey is going. Love to hear and connect with the community out there of Sweet Life Money. Otherwise, continue to live your sweet life. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.